Why is everyone running? And what the heck is a hyrox? A Pilates princess or a chaturanga push to downward facing dog? Exercise hasn't seen PR this good since Jane Fonda, the woman primarily responsible for putting aerobics into people's homes and secondarily for the substance. This wellness boom, two generations later, makes people seem happier and healthier, and what's not to like? Aside from the state that the world is in by the time it kicked in. Stress levels are at an all-time high, the things we want, need, or were once promised seem to be just out of reach, and all we have left is our bodies, ourselves, and each other. The last global exercise boom, much like the aerobics craze of the 80s, was confined to the screens in our homes. COVID-19 has presented many people with a unique opportunity to exercise more because practically people have fewer reasons not to, said Dr. Charlotte Hilton of the British Psychological Society in an interview with BBC. Because of the social restrictions that COVID-19 brought, more people may be turning to online exercise communities and apps to enhance their connectedness, and she was right. 5 whole years later. After the pandemic, we've had enough of being indoors. Enter running clubs, gym memberships, high rocks events, spaces that welcome movement as it offers us a sense of power and control over our own bodies. We all, at the very least, want to live enough before the party's over. Unlike the aerobics craze of the 1980s that was built on the fascination behind new and exciting media, and of course Jane Fonda, 2020's fitness culture was built on the idea of living, doing, not just alone cooped up in our homes, but with communities that move together. Fitness in a general sense become less of a trend or goal, but more of a lifestyle that people seem to be choosing. Nothing tastes as good as fit feels, and here's a few more reasons why. Movement is contagious. No, really. Take, for example, yawning. The contagion behind yawning means that seeing someone yawn, hearing a yawn, or even reading the word yawn can make you feel the urge to. The usual explanation points toward empathy, the idea that we feel for others by subconsciously mirroring the general state that they're in. Now, the evidence between yawning and empathy isn't rock solid yet, but it does hint at how certain actions slip past conscious control. And yet there exists a population that are susceptible to yawn contagion, and they're probably not even old enough to notice. Babies yawn, but not contagiously. Not because babies lack empathy and some moral sense, but because empathy is a learned behavior that the little ones just didn't have much time to do, which is kinda like the same thing. Empathy typically emerges around toddlerhood or the ages of 2 to 3 and arises in the context of a social interaction. But long before they grasp the concept of empathy, that is something some grown adults still seem to be working on till this day, babies already show movement mimicry in the form of when babies see baby and baby do, it's not out of empathy or other complex groups of emotions, but instead a primitive form of social resonance. It's the earliest developmental precursor of what would later become full-fledged emotional contagion. The same principles just happen to grow older with us as we do. Coined by Chartrand and Bark, the chameleon effect refers to non-conscious mimicry of the postures, mannerisms, facial expressions, and other behaviors to match that of others in one's current social environment. Like a chameleon who also non-consciously changes itself to adapt to its environment, we also tend to show certain behaviors that we do not consciously plan to do, yet still do anyway in social settings. And who set the system up? The mirror neuron system. Regarded as the secret ingredient that will do for psychology what DNA did for biology, it's basically a network that activates not only when we move, but when we see others move. First identified in macaque monkeys, early theories imagined mirror neurons as grandmother cells, which are single neurons that perfectly copy someone else's actions. But newer research shows a far more flexible cooperative system. One of the most widely accepted roles of the human mirror neuron mechanism is its mediation of imitative phenomena, and this is achieved because many neurons in a specific set of brain regions are tuned specifically to information about the actions of others. But with those same neurons firing even when we don't perform the same action ourselves. These mirror-like neurons happen to sit in brain regions normally devoted to processing our own movements and emotions, which in turn allows the brain to encode others' actions, emotions, and intentions alongside our own simultaneously. So it's a pretty convenient but still largely studied system, explaining how and why we can understand the intent of another's actions or be able to sympathize with their emotions. When our brains encode other people's actions alongside their own abilities, those actions start to feel personally relevant because some of you can make something as challenging as Pilates look easy, fun, and engaging. Like, hey, I think with my ability I can do that. But then who's gonna tell me that I'm gonna die trying? The more we see others move on screens or in real life, the more our brains prime us to move, and the more we feel like we're part of a group, the more that movement in said group becomes part of who we are or who we want to identify as. Fitness trends survive when they are socially visible, and even more so when they're emotionally and personally relevant, as if going through a journey together with your own abilities and the potential. There exists the creation and maintenance of social to personal noise that helps fitness trends spread, stick, and potentially become lifelong habits. Ultimately, trends endure when they become social contagions, and once passed down from society to us, our biology readily adapts. Our bodies are built for contagion, and that means our appetites are too. Has anyone else ever noticed that after just one day at the gym, oily, greasy foods and even sweets suddenly feel less appealing? Or like flip it around, sitting in front of your computer all day munching gummies and chips and chocolate seemed like regular gamer dinner, at least to me. And as it turns out, as much as one dose of exercise doesn't only make people want good food more, it makes them want unhealthy food less. A recent review for obesity management gathered that low levels of physical activity are associated with higher liking and wanting for high-energy food, while habitual moderate to vigorous physical activity is associated with lower liking and wanting for high-fat food and higher liking for low-fat food. So, yeah, it checks out. But aside from food preference, exercise also does things to your appetite. It is no secret that our biology rewards good behavior. When we eat nutrient-dense foods, our bodies get the vitamins and minerals that it needs to respond in various but connected ways, like enhancing our mood, reducing inflammation, and regulating your blood sugar levels. A proper diet means you're less likely to feel sluggish or unmotivated the next day because you're giving the body the nutrients that it needs to avoid that. And when you add exercise to the mix, you're more likely to stick to it. One study published in 2009 assessed the effect of exercise timing relative to meal consumption on appetite and its hormonal regulators in 12 moderately active young men. The meal in question was a high-fat, calorie-dense meal given either on its own, 2 hours before exercising, or 1 hour after exercising. It was then found out that exercising 2 hours after that unhealthy meal worked to suppress appetite and increase concentrations of plasma PYY3-36, a satiety hormone. This result normally follows its function of reducing food intake as it is released into circulation after eating. Exercise prior to food intake decreased appetite and increased plasma ghrelin concentrations, which is the hunger hormone. Recent evidence suggests that acute high-intensity exercises can suppress the acylation of ghrelin to its active form, inducing hunger. This was said to be due to fast natural lactate buildup, which was demonstrated by exogenous lactate to suppress hunger. So, which is which? Does exercise increase or decrease hunger? According to the results of this study, pre-meal exercise was found to reduce appetite but also make you hungrier. And ultimately, post-meal exercises, even at its worst, may extend the suppressive effects of meal consumption on appetite. Outside of this study, there's additional evidence that the relationship between exercise and hunger is far more complex and context dependent, shaped by factors like exercise intensity, duration, timing, and individual differences in metabolism and hormonal responses. So it's not really something that we can pinpoint. It's also worth noting that most of the pertinent studies were conducted exclusively with male subjects for hypothetically a more controlled result. Overall, I think that we can agree that exercise can help regulate appetite, arguably in a dose-dependent manner. If your fitness goal is to shed off a few pounds and you experience getting a ravenous kind of hunger after a fasted workout, it might be best to control it by eating before the workout. Regardless of the timing, proper meals still regulate appetite. We really are what we eat, and when we eat better, you get the idea. An often overlooked variable in the fitness equation is what happens after everything is said and done: rest. Aside from being the second half of the usual rupture and repair of muscle fibers, rest in the form of sleep is responsible for hormonal balance and brain function, cognitive and emotional included. One misconception about rest is that it has to be something similar to meditation or being a couch potato doing almost absolutely nothing. It isn't, though. Those kinds of activities do have some merit in them, but not all rests look the same. Passive rest means complete time off from training. It's like when you feel so worn down and sore that you badly need to rest. This is the time to do what you like other than making it physically and mentally hard for yourself. Take that afternoon nap, cozy up and read a book. Go on a spa day, invite Bella Hadid. Passive rest calls for something fun and low effort just to balance things out and to give your body the time that it needs to repair itself. Active recovery involves light, purposeful movement and can be seen in physically active activities like walking, gentle yoga, stretching, and some more. These activities keep the blood pumping in a boosting the general circulation kind of way, and better circulation means better tissue recovery. Active recovery also primes you for the next task. In physical fitness, that pertains to keeping your body limber, while in areas like creativity, it stimulates your brain the same way that you do when you squeeze a citrus fruit to get more juice. Restorative recovery targets your nervous system directly and is on the middle bit of the two. This involves mindful breathing and soft tissue care like getting a massage. This kind of recovery can also offer psychological rest, like spending time with the people that you love. According to the American Psychological Association, there are about 7 types of rest, each acting on a specific area ranging from physical, mental, emotional, social, sensory, like the kind of rest against overstimulation, creative, and spiritual rest, which is the rest that is closest to nourishing your soul. In the same page, they talk about reframing rest, what it is and what it's not. One way to reframe rest is to think of your energy expenditure as currency that flows in and out in a bank account. Some of us have trouble knowing what rest is. We could take long weeks or months of doomscrolling and call it rest since you're not really putting mental or physical kinds of effort into doing it, therefore rest. But that seems like less of what rest is and more of a way to avoid exerting effort. That not only fails to replenish your energy, but keeps you on the opposite side of the loop that fitness is trying to achieve. Another counterproductive thing about rest is focusing too much on the outcomes of what getting enough rest can do. We might think it's productive to plan everything and insert rest when we have the time, but then having all those to-do bullet points that are uncleared, kinda, and are in the way. It's like dangling a carrot where you know that you have to take a nap first to get. It's nice to have something to look forward to, but rest shouldn't be tied to an outcome. Rest is rest, sure, but good rest is something that is productive. Better rest begets better food decisions, begets energy for better exercise, begets a good night's rest, and the cycle just goes on and front and back, loop de loop, the Jeremy bury me, and keeps you on giving what you give it. The next thing we know, we'd already have a self-reinforcing cycle of what we keep on doing. And these loops don't care about whether the cycle you put yourself through is bad for you or not. Self-reinforcing cycles or feedback loops start with an initial act of change, and these loops can be your angle or your devil. Humans are adequately susceptible to biological and social contagion. It's easy to form bad habits because it's convenient to avoid effort. It's also easy to initiate a cascade of healthy choices, one mindfully made choice at a time. Momentum. Momentum is what happens when things get easier to do. Because you've done it before, you already know what it's like, and the more you know, you're better equipped the next time around. When you sleep a little better, you get a better streak of energy, allowing you to move the way that you want to for as much as you want to. And movement feels lighter, and your appetite and food choices inevitably improve to get more of what your body needs, and then you can flip the order around and it's still gonna make sense because every choice is connected. The system reinforces itself like clockwork. Vicious and virtuous cycles. Good things perpetuate the good and forms a virtuous cycle of an upward spiral of benefits, while bad things just perpetuate the bad and can lead to a vicious cycle of a downward spiral of problems. These cycles illustrate how easily we can become vessels of contagion. We have the power to make conscious choices, or we can just take the easy way out, that is succumbing to the threat of convenience. Inside us are two wolves. The wolf that wins is the one that we feed. Now, fitness isn't a lot of things. It isn't a shape or a number. Neither is fitness something you buy, something that makes you a better person than others, or something that you'll ever be done with. By now, we can tell that fitness is a collection of virtuous choices that adapts to life rather than compete with it, and nothing tastes as good as it feels when we let that contagion spread. Doing things that make us healthier become less of a chore and more of a habit until showing up is no longer something that we have to negotiate with ourselves, and because we are hardwired to mirror what we see, it is up to us to keep looking. Take care and be well. Bye.